0 I was born with a certain allure, a sensuality that turned me to water whenever my husband and I made love. After 15 years of marriage, my husband still couldn't get enough of me. Everyone said that Damien Sterling, a veritable prince of the city's elite, was famous for being crazy about his wife. Even if every other man in the world kept a mistress, Damien never would. He was entwined with me, day and night. But on our 15th anniversary, after we made love with fierce passion, Damien pointed to the innocent, looking young actress on the television, whose childbirth had just been exposed, and said, "She gave me a son, so I can't be with you today." My hand, just dried from the steam of the shower, froze. The smile vanished from my face. I asked him seriously, "Damien, are you serious?" Damien looked at me calmly. "I am. She gave birth to my son." I stared at him in disbelief, unable to comprehend how he could speak of his infidelity as if it were a matter of course, but he had already dressed quickly, even stealing a kiss when I wasn't looking. "All these years, you've always waited for me to come home alone. Weren't you lonely? I want to try a life with a bit more warmth, a bit more domesticity." I couldn't hold back any longer. I shoved him away, roaring with all my strength, "Damien, do you have any idea what you're saying?" Damien was stunned for a moment, then smiled at me with good humor. "Honey, if you don't like it, I won't say it again. I promise. You will never hear another word about her." Listening to his casual tone, I snapped. I grabbed our wedding photo from the nightstand and hurled it at him. "Damien, let's get a divorce." Damien looked as if he'd just heard the most absurd joke, and he chuckled. "I'm not divorcing you, Sarah. I love you, but I'm 48 this year. I should have a son to inherit the Sterling Corporation." My eyes instantly reddened. "Damien, I've always loved children. You were the one who hated kids, who refused to have any, and now you're telling me you need a son." Damien sighed. "I did say that, but that was my thinking 15 years ago. But now, my son already exists." My eyes were bloodshot as I pressed him, nearly hysterical. "I am your legal wife. If you wanted a child, why didn't you discuss it with me?" Damien looked at my crimson eyes, the pity on his face now mixed with more complex emotions. He averted his gaze, his voice dropping. "Sarah, you're over 40 now. After all, I can't forget what happened to my sister in law back then." He paused, as if the words were difficult to say. "The thought of that risk, it terrifies me. I couldn't dare let you take that chance. It was selfish of me, cowardly, but I truly cannot bear the slightest possibility of losing you." Listening to his self-righteous love and protection, my heart felt as if it were being squeezed by an invisible hand, the pain making it impossible to breathe. Seeing my devastated expression, a rare flicker of panic crossed his face. He instinctively reached out to touch my cheek but froze when he saw the ice in my eyes. He awkwardly withdrew his hand. He licked his dry lips and explained hurriedly, "Sarah, listen to me. It's just one more child. My feelings for you have never changed, and they never will." He was still trying to smooth things over with those pale words, each one a needle piercing my heart. Seeing no further extreme reaction from me, he seemed to finally breathe a sigh of relief. "Honey, I swear, my love for you will absolutely not change." Hearing his completely natural tone, I finally understood. Damien genuinely didn't believe he had betrayed me. Without a doubt, in our 15 years of marriage, compared to other wealthy playboys, he was a breath of fresh air. He didn't smoke, didn't drink, and seemed to have no interest in other women. While those playboys were buying bags for their mistresses and their scandals were all over the news, he was with me, insatiable. So, I truly believed that this dream, like love, could last forever. But now, that 15-year-long beautiful dream had shattered in an instant. Perhaps he really had loved me once. That's why, after his sister-in-law died in childbirth, he had cried and told me, "Honey, I don't want you to die. I don't want children. I only want you." Later, he had shown his annoyance towards his nephew more than once. He had even snapped, "Kids are trouble. Stay away from me." So, all these years, no matter how much I loved children, I had tacitly never brought it up. I stared at the face on the television, even exhausted from childbirth. It was still youthful and vibrant. I memorized her name, Lily. Tears streamed down my face as I laughed. I pulled an old medical report from the drawer and threw it at him. "Damien, we were supposed to have a child, too." The flimsy report for an abortion landed on his expensive suit. The calm facade on Damien's face finally cracked. He grabbed my wrist, his grip so tight it felt like it would shatter my bones. "What did you say?" I looked at his shocked and panicked eyes, laughing through my tears. Damien's face was ashen, his lips trembling. It took him a long moment to find his voice. No. Impossible. I didn't know. Of course you didn't know. I wrenched my hand free, tears falling like broken pearls. My voice shook uncontrollably, filled with a desperate sob. And your heart, when exactly did it start to stray? My question made him flinch. He seemed to want to say something, but in the end, he just pressed his lips together, a flash of pained embarrassment on his face. He took a deep breath as if to shake off the emotion, forcing himself to calm down. He sat beside me again, trying to soften his posture and pull me into an embrace. I recoiled as if from a plague, his arms froze in mid-air, then fell limply to his sides. He was silent for a long time, so long I thought he had nothing more to say. Then he spoke again. I'm sorry, honey, but you were pregnant. Why didn't you tell me? He didn't wait for my answer, continuing as if trying to convince both me and himself. Even if you take my love for granted, you should have at least given me the right to know, shouldn't you? I'm human, too. Sometimes, I get tired. He paused, thinking. I'm not saying you're not good, Sarah. You've always been the most perfect woman in my heart. It's just, Lily is different. She's not as smart as you, not as strong. She's very obedient, so obedient that when she found out she was pregnant, she was terrified, but all she could do was cry and ask me if she was causing me trouble. At this, Damien's lips twitched into a smile, full of helplessness but also pride. Sarah, I'm a man. I also hope to be looked up to. His every word was a poison dagger, stabbing precisely into my heart, bringing sharp, lingering waves of pain. He was the one who said he loved my bright, unrestrained spirit the most. He was the one who said I didn't have to change for anyone. He was the one who had spoiled me into the person I was today. How had it all become my fault now? How had it all become his excuse for cheating? My son looks a lot like me. Lily is very sensible. She never fights for anything. She said she'd be content just to give me a child. I want to watch him grow up. Do you understand, Sarah? With every word Damien spoke, my heart ached a little more. Tears flooded out, and my chest felt tight and panicked. Shut up, Damien. Damien sighed, about to try and persuade me further, when a video call came in. He glanced at me cautiously, then stood and walked to the balcony to answer. His tone instantly became gentle and doting. Getting ready to leave. I'll be there soon. I miss our son too. You're weak after giving birth, so get some sleep first. When you wake up, you'll see me. I listened to his voice through the glass, watching the adoring smile on his face. The warmth in my body drained away, bit by bit. I once thought all his love in this life was exclusively mine, only to realize that what I had was merely a fraction of it. After hanging up, he seemed even more hurried. I stood in the doorway, my voice choked with sobs. If you go to her tonight, we're getting a divorce. He stood by the door, not hearing me at all, completely absorbed in texting someone on the other end. Only after he finished his message did he look up at me. Honey, I left your anniversary gift on the desk. Go to bed early. Don't wait up for me tonight. It wasn't until his footsteps faded that I realized I was trembling all over. I remembered 15 years ago, when he raised his hand and swore to me, honey, I will never make you regret marrying me. If I ever betray Serafina, let 1,000 needles pierce me. 15 years had ground that vow to dust, but the agony of those 1,000 needles had found me first. I clutched my chest, doubling over in pain. I silently made a decision. If the love was gone, it was better to let go. Suddenly, a breaking news alert popped up on my phone. Young starlet Lily gives birth late at night. Sterling Corp. CEO and Dowager Mrs. Sterling spotted at hospital. I enlarged the photo. Lily's face, even with an oxygen mask, was full of surprise and pride. Damien's profile was gentle as he looked at her, and my mother-in-law was holding the baby with a look of pure adoration. The next second, 2 messages from an unknown number came in. Sister, it must be painful to watch your own husband have a child with another woman, right? Mom said her grandson can't be known as illegitimate, so it's time for you to back down, isn't it? All my attention focused on the word, Mom. My mother-in-law had been displeased with Damien's insistence on marrying me and had refused to let me call her Mom. After the wedding, she had never been pleasant to me. It was Damien who had knelt on the floor, begging for a day and a night. He had said, if the Sterling family won't accept Serafina, then I'll change my last name to hers. He would have left the family with me. Only then had his mother finally relented. But now, Lily was calling her Mom, so easily, making my decade of effort seem like a joke. As a tear fell on the back of my hand, another message arrived. I thought it was another provocative trick from Lily, but when I opened it, it was from Maria, our housekeeper. Ma'am, Would you like to come to the old mansion for dinner tomorrow? I've made your favorite typhoon shelter shrimp. Maria was a long-time servant of the Sterling family, having watched Damien grow up. Although she had disliked me at first due to his mother's influence, seeing how deeply Damien loved me had made her warm up to me as well. Over the years, whenever his mother criticized me, she would always step in to mediate. I had come to see Maria as a second mother. I sighed and agreed. Maria had been truly good to me. Since I was letting go, I should at least say a proper goodbye. I had married with honor. I wanted to divorce with dignity, but Damien didn't seem to want that dignity. He arrived with Lily, who was holding their newborn baby. The entire living room fell silent. All eyes were on me, filled with a mix of complex emotions. It was Lily who spoke first, her voice weak and innocent. "Sister Sarah, please don't be angry. It was Mom who asked me to come. If you don't want to see me, I'll leave right away." Her words were humble, but her eyes were full of a victor's pride. Just then, the baby in her arms let out a loud wail, shattering the strange silence. Lily immediately panicked, gently rocking the child, cooing urgently, There, baby, don't cry. Did I scare you? It's all Mommy's fault." As she soothed the baby, she looked at Damien for help, her eyes red and on the verge of tears. My mother-in-law also rushed over, her face etched with concern. "Oh, my precious grandson, why are you crying so sadly? Are you uncomfortable? Let Grandma see." She carefully took the baby from Lily's arms, her movements practiced, her eyes loving, as if this were the treasure she had been waiting for her whole life. Even my usually stern father-in-law was frowning, looking at the crying infant with concern. Damien caught my displeasure immediately. He frowned, shooting his mother and Lily a disapproving look. Then he strode to my side, half shielding me from the complicated stares. I looked up at him, my eyes welling with tears. "Damien, I came today because there's something I need to discuss with you." I pulled the divorce papers from my bag, already prepared, flipped to the signature page, and held it out to him. "This is..." But just then, the baby's loud cries shattered the private space he was trying to create. Lily, while hushing the child, pleaded, "Damien, our son misses his daddy, that's why he's crying. Can you hold him, please?" He glanced at me cautiously, his tone pleading. "Honey, I'll just calm the baby down, and I'll be right back." He took the pen and signed his name without hesitation. "Between us, you always get the final say. No need for discussion." After signing, he didn't pause for a second, skillfully taking the baby. I watched their family gathered around the infant, a picture of harmony, and my heart turned to ice. Damien had no idea what he had just signed. My voice was utterly calm. "Damien, after the divorce, you can be a full-time father." Behind me, I heard Damien's suppressed roar and his mother's attempts to stop him. I ignored it all and walked straight out of the Sterling mansion. Just as my car was pulling out of the gate, a black Rolls-Royce Cullinan suddenly cut in, stopping just inches from my car. Damien got out, his face dark as he blocked my way. "Serafina, I need to talk to you." I took a deep breath, suppressing the turmoil in my heart, and looked at him calmly. He stood a few feet away, the setting sun stretching his shadow. After a moment of silence, he seemed to have made up his mind, his voice strained. "I'm sorry, I didn't keep the promise I made to you." He paused, his eyes complex. "I told you, if I ever made a mistake, the Sterling family would repay you doubly, 90% of the Sterling Corporation's shares, and that plot of land on the west side of the city, will all be transferred to your name." Money again. In his eyes, it seemed everything could be solved with money. "Okay," I replied faintly. He seemed taken aback by my calmness. He faltered, then continued, "The child, he needs a father. I can't just abandon him." A dense, sour feeling pricked at my heart. 15 years of devotion, in exchange for this shattered ending. He asked me, "What else do you want?" "As long as the Sterling family can afford it, it's yours." I found it laughable. "What if I want you, Damien Sterling, to disappear completely from my world, from now on?" Damien's face instantly turned ashen, his eyes filled with a dark disbelief. Seeing my almost provocative expression, he suddenly laughed, but the smile didn't reach his eyes. It was bone-chillingly cold. "Serafina, do you really think that's possible? Even if we're divorced, you were once my woman. My people, even if I'm done with them, are not for others to covet." The possessiveness in his tone was nauseating. "I will arrange everything for you. Ensure you live without worry for the rest of your life. Don't even think about leaving my sight. I won't allow it." He wanted to say more, even taking off his coat to put it around my shoulders. That was once the warmth I craved, but now it only felt filthy. I took a sharp step back, avoiding his touch. Damien, keep your cheap charity. Anything you've touched, I find disgusting. I watched him freeze in place. There was no joy in my heart, only endless sorrow and disgust. He said nothing more in the end, just gave me one last, deep look, his expression unreadable, then turned and left decisively. Returning to that cold villa, I packed my things, a few boxes of books, some sketchbooks, and a few heirlooms from my mother. As for the jewelry Damien had given me, I didn't take a single piece. I left it all for the lawyer to handle, along with the signed divorce papers and the transfer documents for that immense fortune. Alone, I left the elite circle. The sun was blinding that day, but I felt a lightness I hadn't experienced in years. The Sterling family's lawyers were efficient. The divorce was finalized quickly. As for the shares and assets Damien had compensated me with, I had the lawyer bundle them up and sell them at a modest price to the Sterling Corporation's biggest rival. Did it hurt? You only calculate losses when there is love. That was true for him, and for me as well. One can't live in the past. I chose a quiet, ancient water town in the south, rented a small courtyard by the river, and opened a small art gallery. Away from the glitz and scheming of the wealthy, I became Serafina again. Here, no one knew who I was. I was just a quiet woman who loved to paint. I slowly found my smile again, the light returning to my eyes. The gallery gradually gained some recognition, and I made some like-minded friends. One day, a few new young friends invited me to go boating on a nearby lake. Looking at their youthful, smiling faces, I felt a sense of disorientation. Damien had said Lily was young and vibrant, unlike my lifeless self, but he had forgotten that before I married him. I also loved to laugh and play. Let the past be the past. I took a deep breath of the misty air and felt myself relax. For some reason, I felt a gaze fixed on me from the shore, probably my imagination. When we reached the middle of the lake, my arm suddenly cramped, and I almost dropped the oar. A young man on the boat named Caleb blushed and offered to rub it for me. Just as his hand was about to touch my arm, a dark figure shot from the shore onto another boat, paddling towards us at high speed. Let go. Who said you could touch her? A cold, familiar voice, filled with a towering rage and an unquestionable authority, exploded across the calm lake. Damien's face was grim, his voice icy and menacing. He had found me. I frowned in annoyance, instinctively moving to stand in front of Caleb. Seeing my action, a flicker of hurt crossed Damien's face, quickly replaced by a deeper darkness. Sarah, he called out to me, his voice full of grievance, as if I had betrayed him. Ha, how ridiculous. Sarah, please don't look at me like that. His tone softened, with a hint of pleading. I'm sorry, I saw him touching you. I got jealous. If this were the past, hearing those words would have made my heart soar. But now, I only felt disgust. Damien, what are you doing here? I was looking all over for you. Lily's voice carried across the water. She was also in a boat, heading towards us, followed by bodyguards. A grand procession. Seeing me, she immediately clung to Damien's arm as if to declare her ownership, feigning surprise. Oh, Sister Sarah is here too. In the sunlight, the massive diamond on her hand was blinding. Noticing my gaze, she flaunted it. Damien insisted on buying it for me. I told him it was too expensive, but he said as long as I like it. No price is too high. The child in her arms glared at me fiercely, looking at their family of 3. I was surprised to find I felt nothing at all. Sister Sarah, let's go back, my friends on the boat said, sensing the tense atmosphere. I smiled. Okay. Caleb, worried my arm was still sore, carefully helped me. As we passed Damien's boat, I felt him stiffen. He finally called out my name. Sarah. This time, I didn't stop for him. That night, Lily, having somehow gotten my private number, sent more harassing messages, filled with vile words. I blocked her immediately. Just as I was about to go to bed, I heard the sound of shattering porcelain from outside, followed by a man's suppressed groan. I frowned and opened the courtyard gate. In the moonlight, Damien's tall figure was slumped against the wall, a broken flower pot at his feet. Seeing me, a flicker of panic crossed his eyes, quickly replaced by heavy intoxication and pain. He stumbled, trying to stand straight, and cut his hand on the shards as he propped himself against the wall. Blood flowed freely, but he seemed not to feel it. Sarah, don't move. I'll clean it up. Don't get hurt, he said, frantically crouching to pick up the pieces. As I got closer, I smelled the strong scent of alcohol on him. Damien followed my shoes with his gaze and looked up. Seeing me, he stood up, his face lighting up. Sarah, you came out. Noticing I was only in a thin nightgown, he started taking off his coat. It's cold out here at night. You'll catch a cold wearing so little. You were always so careless. Always catching colds that would make you miserable for days. Damien rambled on, until he could no longer speak. He covered his eyes in agony, tears streaming through his fingers. Sarah, why won't you talk to me? You never used to let a single word of mine fall to the ground. I'm drunk. My stomach hurts. Can you make me some sobering soup, just like you used to? Please, don't treat me like this. My heart is breaking. The all-powerful Damien Sterling, now humbled to the dust. Damien, I said his name. He looked at my calm expression and shook his head in despair. Don't say those hurtful things again. Isn't this what you chose? I said coldly. Damien childishly covered his ears. I don't want to hear it. I don't want to hear any words from your mouth that say you don't love me. With that, he dropped his hands wearily and looked at me, his voice as soft as a sigh. Sarah, I regret it. Regret. If he had said that the moment I first learned the truth, perhaps I might have wavered, but now, it was too late. Just then, Lily emerged from the darkness, holding the crying baby. She had clearly followed him. Damien, her voice was choked with tears. She looked at Damien with red-rimmed eyes, then glanced at me timidly. The baby won't stop crying. Maybe, he misses you. She deliberately held the baby a little closer to me. Damien looked at the baby's red, crying face, then at my cold expression. The regret and pain on his face were instantly replaced by annoyance. He snapped at Lily. That's enough. Don't cause trouble here. Take the child and go back. Being rebuked so harshly in front of me, a flash of humiliation and venom crossed Lily's face, but she quickly put on a wronged expression, her eyes welling with tears as she looked at me. Sister Sarah, I'm sorry. It's all my fault. I shouldn't have brought the baby here to disturb you. Please don't be angry with Damien. He really does have you in his heart. Her words, while seemingly an apology, were meant to imply that I was the greedy one, the one who couldn't let go. This whole drama was giving me a headache. I had no energy to watch their performance any longer. I just looked at Damien coldly. Mr. Sterling, let me say this one last time. We are divorced. Stop disturbing my life. My anger and finality seemed to break him completely. The last bit of light in Damien's eyes faded. He stumbled, catching himself on the wall, his voice hoarse. I'm sorry, Sarah. I was just thinking about our past. Those who are wrong are destined to walk separate paths. Seeing my unyielding expression, he finally gave up his last struggle. I'll go, he said, his voice filled with exhaustion and despair. Seeing this, a flash of triumph appeared in Lily's eyes. She immediately went to support Damien, not forgetting to turn back to me and declare her victory, her tone dripping with false gratitude. Thank you for letting go, Sister Sarah. I'll take good care of Damien for you. She paused. By the way, Damien and I are getting married next month. It's just a small family dinner, but if you'd like to come, you're welcome. The same old tricks, the same old flaunting. Unfortunately, it no longer had any effect on me. At the mention of wedding, Damien's brow furrowed almost imperceptibly. He looked at me wearily, as if searching for a sign that I cared, but all he saw was indifference. He closed his eyes in resignation and let Lily lead him away, their crying son in tow, disappearing into the deep night of the water town. About a month later, I received a photo from Lily. In it, she and Damien were holding their child in the Sterling family's garden. Damien's face was blank, but she was smiling triumphantly, clinging to him. The caption read, Damien says a harmonious family brings prosperity. I glanced at it with disgust and blocked her. 6 months later, spring arrived in the south as scheduled. My gallery was doing well, and my state of mind, like the southern rain, had been washed clean of dust. Caleb, the young man who had blushed on the lake, became a regular at my gallery. He was bright and cheerful, a small sun that slowly illuminated my gray world. One day after an exhibition closed, he was helping me pack up. The setting sun cast a golden glow on his young profile. He suddenly looked at me, his eyes serious. Sister Sarah, I like you. Looking into his clear eyes, which reflected only me, I did not refuse. One failed marriage had made me timid, but it was the person who was wrong, not love itself. He saw my hesitation, took out a ring he had prepared, and carefully slipped it onto my finger, saying sincerely, It's okay, time will give you the answer. My peaceful days didn't last long before they were interrupted by an unexpected visitor. Mrs. Sterling found me. The once elegant and noble woman was now haggard, as if she had aged 10 years in an instant. She held my hand, hesitating, and finally broke down in tears. Sarah, I'm begging you, go see Damien, for the last time. I was shocked. Scattered news had reached me that Damien's second marriage was not happy. Lily's ambition and controlling nature frustrated him, and the internal and external troubles of the Sterling Corporation overwhelmed him. He damaged his health with alcohol, and with depression. The doctor said, he probably won't make it through the month. Mrs. Sterling cried until she nearly fainted. It's all from a broken heart. He won't listen to anyone now. He just keeps calling your name. The once proud Mrs. Sterling was now kneeling before me. Sarah, I know our family wronged you, but for the sake of our 15 years together, just go see him one last time. I'm begging you. I quickly stepped aside. Caleb stepped forward to help her up, while squeezing my cold hand and whispering, don't be afraid. If you want to go, I'll go with you. In the end, I went, not for old feelings, but to put a final period on those 15 years of misplaced love. Damien, on the hospital bed, was skeletal, his face pale, his once sharp eyes now dim and lifeless. Seeing me and Caleb together, a faint light flickered in his dim eyes, then was drowned by pain and regret. You came, he said, his voice hoarse. I didn't think you'd be willing to see me again. He pulled at his lips in something between a sob and a smile. His gaze fell on our joined hands. His eyes stung for a moment. Then he looked at Caleb with a final, dying man's scrutiny. He gasped for breath. Sarah, she deserves the best. If you dare treat her badly, I'll haunt you. From the grave, Caleb raised an eyebrow, his young face confident. Then you'd better get well and watch with your own eyes how I love her. The two men went back and forth, and the atmosphere in the room actually lightened a little, perhaps because he was dying. Damien no longer clung to the past. He just looked at me, his eyes filled with endless remorse. Congratulations, he whispered. It was for me, and also for himself, a final letting go. Before I left, he looked at me and asked, Sarah, in the next life, can I make it up to you in the next life? I answered with silence, watching as Damien shed tears without a care for his image. Walking out of the nursing home, I breathed in the fresh air and felt the tightness in my chest ease slightly. Caleb held my hand and asked softly, are you okay? I nodded and looked at him. Thank you for that. He smiled, the sunlight playing on his young features. I told you, I'll protect you. We hadn't gone far when a sharp cry and an argument erupted at the entrance of the nursing home. A crowd had gathered, and there were even a few people who looked like reporters taking pictures. In the middle of the crowd, Lily, with disheveled hair, was holding the wailing baby. Looking completely unhinged, she suddenly reached out and tightened her fingers around the infant's fragile neck. The baby's cries stopped abruptly, its small face turning purple. Ah, Mrs. Sterling screamed in terror. You old hag, are you going to give me the money or not? The shares. Lily's eyes were bloodshot as she shrieked. Damien is dying. You're just going to throw me away like trash. I gave him a son. This is your Sterling family's blood. If you don't give me what I'm owed, I'll strangle him. I'll end your family line. Her fingers tightened, and the baby's breathing grew faint. You monster. You're a monster. Mrs. Sterling trembled with rage, nearly fainting. We were blind. We never should have let a disaster like you into our family. Sarah was such a good child. Shut up. Don't you dare mention that bitch. Lily became even more frantic. It's all her fault. She ruined everything. If she hadn't haunted us, why would Damien have grown so cold to me? Why would he be dying? Mr. Sterling, trying to remain calm, said with a grim face, Lily, calm down. Let the child go. What good will it do you to hurt him? We can talk about what you want. Talk. Now you want to talk. Lily laughed hysterically, tears streaming down her face. It's too late. I'm telling you, if I'm not happy, none of you will be. Damien is dead, and I can't live either. I'll take your bastard Sterling heir with me. Let your family bear the shame of causing 2 deaths forever. With that, she stumbled towards the steps of the building, as if she really intended to jump. Stop her. Someone stop her. Mr. Sterling shouted in a panic. Security guards and the police, who had just arrived, rushed forward. When Lily saw me, the venom in her eyes was like fire. Serafina, you bitch. It's all your fault. You destroyed my life. I won't let you go even as a ghost. Just as the police and guards were about to grab her, a look of mad determination flashed in her eyes. She suddenly threw the baby in her arms towards a nearby nanny. Catch. As everyone scrambled to catch the child, she lunged at me like a wild animal, a fruit knife appearing in her hand, aimed straight for my eyes. Bitch. I'll kill you. Sarah, look out. Caleb shouted, quickly pulling me behind him. The fruit knife grazed my cheek, leaving a stinging pain. Several police officers acted quickly, finally pinning the completely crazed Lily to the ground. Let me go. Do you know who I am? I'm Damien Sterling's wife. Lily struggled and screamed. A police officer said coldly. Mrs. Sterling, I don't think so. You're coming with us, Dad, Mom, save me, you can't abandon me. Seeing the cold hatred in her law's eyes, Lily finally felt a wave of terror and began to cry. Mrs. Sterling trembled with rage, pointing at her and screaming, Save you! I wish I could strangle you myself, you venomous woman. Our family must have had the worst luck to get involved with a disaster like you. Officers, take her away, let her rot in jail, never let her out. Mr. Sterling added coldly, assault, extortion, she's a menace. No, you can't do this to me, you old fools. I won't let you go even as a ghost. Lily was dragged into the police car, still screaming curses. And you, Serafina, you bitch, you just wait. Lily's curses faded with the sirens. The Sterlings hurried over to check on me. They were relieved to see I was unharmed. Mrs. Sterling wiped her tears. Sarah, my mind was clouded back then. If I had known she was this kind of person, I would have stood up for you. Only now, with the contrast, did they realize how good I had been? But I didn't want this kind of validation. I reminded her, you should get the baby checked. Only then did they notice that the infant was barely breathing. Its eyes glazed over. Taking advantage of the chaos, I pulled Caleb and fled the scene. After walking a good distance, I took a deep breath, relieved. Thank God we got out of there. I really don't want to hear any more of their drama. When I finished, I noticed Caleb hadn't responded and looked at him, puzzled. He was looking at me with a serious expression, like an old man, though he was only in his early 20s. I teased him with a smile, but he suddenly pulled me into a tight hug. A moment later, my shoulder was wet. I heard him say, that scared me to death. Thank God I reacted quickly, or you would have been hurt. His words melted my heart. I patted his back. Are you praising yourself now? Caleb knew I was trying to lighten the mood and went along with it. Humph. I'm telling you, when it matters, I'm the one who can protect you. Our wedding was simple. We held it in my gallery and invited a few friends from town and his family. There was no grand spectacle, only sincere blessings. A few days after we registered our marriage, an old friend told me that Damien had died. Lily was sentenced to a long prison term. The Sterling family was apparently appealing to make sure she served her full sentence. Their son, Adam, had suffered developmental issues and was sent to a special care facility. Sigh, such a good family, completely fell apart, my friend lamented. I sent her a wedding photo, and she tactfully changed the subject. A year later, I had a son. On the day of the delivery, Caleb cried more than I did outside the operating room. The doctor, annoyed by his wailing, snapped at him, either be quiet or get out. He was afraid I would be scared if he wasn't there, so he immediately fell silent. Seeing him, I was in pain but also wanted to laugh. Fortunately, the delivery was smooth. In the hospital room, Caleb's family fussed over me. I asked shyly, how is the baby? It was as if they had just remembered the child. They said honestly, we were so worried about you, we forgot to look. I looked around cautiously and saw they were all just smiling at us. I secretly breathed a sigh of relief. It turned out love was never wrong. Only the people were. From now on, love would let me grow new flesh and blood.